If you're an audio fanatic like me, or just thinking about how to upgrade how you're listening to music or podcasts, you have to know about Victrola. They have been bringing innovation and style together since 1906. I'm going to tell you about one of their products that I got called the Journey Plus. It's a great sounding Bluetooth speaker and record player that's affordable and can link to my other Bluetooth speakers. It sounds so good, and now it sits on top of my old record player. They have over 30 different color options, so it fits in any room of the house. And of course, I got mine wrapped in denim. If you've ever seen us perform live, you know about my obsession with wrapping guitars and other stuff in denim. But they already did it for me. Right now, to show off their online record store, they're having special savings like free shipping on orders over $35 or more, as well as a great deal of 15% off if you buy 3 records from their record store. I got the new Run the Jewels record. I got a Stone Temple Pilots Holland import. They have tons of stuff on there, so make sure to check it out. So go to makingnoisepod.com/Victrola for your savings. That is makingnoisepod.com/VICTROLA for your special offers today.
3, 5.
Welcome to Making Noise, everybody. My name is Todd Johnson. And then the man you don't have to call collector here on the saxophone, Mr. Jay Connor.
What's up, y'all?
How you
doing, man? I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah?
Good. A little tired. A little tired today.
Well, you got COVID shot number 2.
COVID shot number 2 yesterday.
Which
so
arm?
Which fully arm? Vaccinated. It was my left arm.
Okay. Are you feeling okay?
I mean, for the most part, but my arm is really sore. Like all up in this piece. And I was trying to sleep last night, and I was like laying on it, and that wasn't working, so I was just tossing and turning. But other than that, I feel great, man. I started getting really good cell phone reception, though, so I don't know what's up with that.
Right. It's all that 5G that's floating around you now.
Floating in me, yeah. I've also heard that Windows phones were a good idea. So
yeah.
Maybe we should go back to those.
We actually are doing this podcast on a Zoom.
Have you met Bill Gates? Have you ever talked to him?
No, but I
feel like I hear his voice in my head.
Yes, me too. I've never personally met him, but I do have his chip in me.
Yeah.
So
me too.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. I'm gonna get my second chip. I'm gonna get my second Bill Gates chip.
I always wanted to be a cyborg.
Yep. Where's my phone at? Maybe they can track that. Anyway, mentioning of things that you can track on your phone, everyone needs to make sure to check out our guest today and check out charlottenewmusic.org. We're going to pop that up down at the bottom of the thing, but it's charlottenewmusic.org. And that is run by our guest today, Elizabeth Kowalski.
So she started this new project called Your Neighborhood Orchestra, and one of the great things about it is that she focuses on bringing together musicians of different genres to put on a show for everybody.
Right.
So we've got people interacting with classical musicians who are interacting with jazz musicians who are playing with a rock guy, and none of them have ever really played together before.
Yes, it's super cool. I was very honored to be asked to be a part of this project. And
you were picked, as we learned in the episode.
Yeah, I know, which was super crazy. I didn't know that. That was awesome. So this was a great conversation, and Elizabeth is a fantastic musician, fantastic person around town. So go to charlottenewmusic.org to see the projects that they're coming out with every other Sunday, and you might see me in one of them. I'm just saying. But yeah, so this is our interview with Elizabeth Kowalski. Well, this works really well because Jay, the show at times, Jay prepares for like who's coming in, and I try my damnedest to not. On purpose. I try to, I know exactly enough just because of being involved with doing the project.
So did you reverse roles this time?
Not really.
Not really.
It's probably not. Well, okay, so usually we know who's coming in a couple weeks ahead of time, right?
Right.
So for me, believe it or not, you're not the first Kowalski I've met.
What?
Yep.
Well, in Charlotte?
Not in Charlotte. In North Carolina, though.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have? First, quick question: do you have any family from Appleton, Wisconsin?
No.
Okay. Well,
not that I know of.
The hard-hitting question.
Hey, man, you never know.
Not that I know of. There are many Kowalskis, actually. I mean, there are because it's basic. I think I've been told it basically means blacksmith.
Okay.
And the ski at the end is basically Smith.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's very, very common Polish name.
Okay.
But my mom is Sicilian. My dad is Swiss, Irish, Polish.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so that's where that comes from.
He's the one who brings a
Yeah.
little bit of the blacksmith in.
Yeah.
As far as the name goes.
Right.
I've got two good friends that live in Wilmington. And,
Oh, okay, interesting.
And they're and he.
It is interesting that he has two friends.
Kowalski.
Okay.
And I know at least two, right? I mean, it's hard to believe. And he's also a music guy. And his dad, when he grew up playing in a polka band with his dad and his brothers. His dad played accordion.
Amazing.
All right.
And he played drum, and he plays drums and bass and guitar and can sing backup. And that's why because sometimes last names and they both have like kind of a
True.
musical thing. I mean,
Right.
you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
Interesting. I'd love to learn more.
And also, like, for some reason, I thought you played flute.
I do.
Okay, so you play flute and piano.
Yeah, what do you, well, you play a few, is it just flute and piano? We've had this
So I
conversation
sing,
once.
play flute, and piano all about equally.
Okay.
That's I guess when I was studying piano, I was like more heavily into piano. I did have an injury which prevented me from playing for a while, so that's when I decided to lean heavily more into singing and playing.
Right.
And then flute, because I like to travel, so that travels very easily.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to just go into any kind of band situation with a flute, because nobody's usually playing flute.
That's true.
Already.
Nobody's usually playing
Yeah.
flute.
So yeah, it's that's a really friendly, fun instrument all around.
Yeah. Easy to bring around. Yeah, easy to pack up.
Yeah, in a backpack anywhere in the world. I've carried it on my motorcycle for months on end, and anywhere I end up, play with musicians. It's a great experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so talking like going back and just talking about the interview thing,
Yeah.
because I want to ask so many questions about the your neighborhood orchestra, because it was
Yeah.
such a cool thing. And I know we said earlier before I hit record that Fred Dunlap, thank you for throwing my name in the
Yeah,
hat.
yeah, he was the one. I just said, I want you on this project. Who do you want to work with? Because we have to be passionate about the music we're going to work on.
Right.
It takes about 40, 50 hours to create an arrangement for a full orchestra, so you got to really like what you're going to do, and you got to have a vision for it. So I was like, who do you want to work with? And he said, I want to work with Todd. He took a few days, and he got back to me and said, Todd, I was like, oh,
That's
great.
awesome. No, I love, and Fred is a fantastic musician, and it was really cool to see him do that, because I've never really seen. I mean, he's always just been a drummer,
Right.
to me in a
Right.
way, and so it's a good way to see, kind of like you were talking about earlier about seeing these different talents and
Right.
of people. This is a really good way of
Yes.
pushing those boundaries.
Oh gosh, this is a box breaker in so many aspects. I love
Yeah.
breaking, classical music out of its box, crossing the boundaries, breaking the barriers between the genres, and for the audience and for the creators even, and shining a light on actually creating music, and what people might consider a formal way, but it's a very real way, and this is
Yeah.
what people do in the industry, and it needs to be seen here.
Give me a walkthrough of one performance and everything that has gone into just one of these performances. How many performances total were there?
10.
10. So just for one of these performances, did you start with like composer first, or like how did you start and build one project?
Well, yeah, I mean, composers are the key to this, making it work for an orchestra, I mean, obviously you don't need composers if you don't have an orchestra, but as a composer, and I got a master's degree in music composition, so I'm always trying to use my craft, and figure out ways to make it relevant. But as a composer, we're in a really unique position to be, in a way, architects of an experience. And I did a lot of scouting virtually on other, talent that I had to, break my own boundaries on what I know.
So other than
Yeah.
Todd, right? Who else did you have involved in this project that maybe you hadn't worked with before?
Right. Sianka is one of the ones I picked to work with. She's an amazing R&B soul singer, songwriter, and I cannot believe that she lives here in Charlotte and that she's not like extremely famous, because her music is so good, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So so I hit her up and her manager, and they were down for it, and I'm like, well, let's collaborate on this. And kind of told everyone I approached about it, was super excited and like, this is my dream to work with an orchestra. And I'm like, well, let's do it.
Yeah. Well, so it was super cool. I know might miss a few people, but like it was great to see like Pete Lentz.
Yeah.
There, that was so cool to see him.
He's just got to be in. He was in the first prototype of this orchestra about 2 years ago, and I picked 4 people to work with for 2 years ago, and so we did it. It was a great experience, and I promised them I would, get us some funding, and we're gonna do it again, and I did, and
then here it was.
Yeah,
it was. And when you're talking about collaboration, I'm looking forward to seeing the whole series, but like it was great to meet Young Citizen.
Yeah,
just kind of hang out with him and listen to what he was doing and talk to him about his songs and stuff. And he's one of those guys that I've heard of and knew around town, but to just talk to him and just kind of see how legitimate of like a positive energy dude he is. He's like, hey, let's get it. Let's do this. This is great. This is what this. He meeting all those people. Everybody was that way.
And he's a really interesting guy too. He got his bachelor's in music business, and then I think he's working on his master's in music education now.
And I was already kind of keeping up with some of what he was doing, but then just like meeting him for 5-10 minutes, it was like anything this guy puts out, I'm listening to immediately.
Right. Yeah.
But so, kind of getting the composers worked out and getting the artists.
The scouting. The scouting took, a good 40 hours. Just because I want to, you have to pick 10 people, I would love to pick like 30. But, we're on a time crunch. And like I said, these things take time to create. I worked on actually 2 of the arrangements out of the 10, and everybody else did 1. And for some people, that was still a time crunch. And I'm just like, dudes, I used to do this for more commercial music, but I would have to turn these around in like 2-3 days, and I would get like 2 hours of sleep a night.
Right.
And stop. And I get paid like $50, but I had no job, and it was like right after my master's degree. So I was like, I just wanted opportunity.
Get what I could get.
Yeah. So, stop complaining.
Yeah.
You either want to do it or you don't.
I can't imagine the composition that goes into, in general, like composition of a rock band of maybe 4, maybe 6 pieces.
Right.
And what the different parts of that is.
Right.
It takes a good while.
Yeah.
So doing that with,
how many people did you have?
How many people?
Because I'm like Todd, I didn't get to go record.
Right.
So
I would have liked to have more people, but especially beef up the string section. But
it was kind of hard, right?
Element. We had to space out people. Well,
that was a massive thing I was going to ask you about later. But how many people were in 18. The room? It was an 18 piece.
Well, 18 in the orchestra. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is,
and sometimes less depending on what the arranger chose to use.
Right. The experience that I had to say that was fantastic was walking into this room that was massive, which was needed. After we went and did the temperature check, and I showed this is where my test is.
Yeah.
This was, which I was I'm so happy I got it under the wire.
Yeah.
Of the required time.
Me too.
So that way I know. So we can make it happen.
I was like, I might be singing this song, or we just record it and just bring you into the studio and put it up that way. But like, I really didn't want to do that, so I'm glad you made it.
No, I'm really glad I made it too. Just to be like standing live in the room with an orchestra and being part of it, and still taking direction from the composer. Mm-hmm. Especially for a song that I wrote, and then now Fred has completely reimagined it in this beautiful way. Oh, yeah. And just to have a smaller piece of something that I did, and everyone else is taking a little bit of a bigger piece and putting it in that pot it was very much an out of body experience doing it. It really was.
I wonder what that's like for you guys. I did wonder about that.
Oh, it's an experience that I've never had that experience, and it instantly made me go, I want to do this again.
Wow.
I really want to find a way to do that. I basically want to do that now as an artist.
Yeah.
I would like to take one of my songs now instead of taking like with Mysterious Ways where it's a reimagining. I absolutely want to take one of my songs and sit with a composer and go, this is what the recorded version of it would be.
Yeah. See, that's another reason I wanted this to happen, because composers need opportunities. Like we don't really exist here. We either go to LA or New York, and I know people that do that, or they just don't do anything altogether. And getting us active in the scene is a big thing of like what you just said now, and I'm glad to hear that, because you know we do have a place, we have a role, and we do have the ability to be an architect of these facilitations, you know?
Right.
So it's cool that, you know, you got to experience that and want to do it again. That's really amazing.
Well, there needs to be the opportunity for it in the city too.
Right.
And I think that many times when we talk to musicians here on Making Noise with Todd Johnson, you know, we find out that when it comes to original music in Charlotte, it's
Where's it at?
very, very difficult to find.
I know.
It's difficult to go to a show.
Right.
The places that do have it, I mean, it's few and far between.
Right. I totally see that. And that's why I started Charlotte New Music 10 years ago.
Yeah.
To create and promote the creation, the access, the education, and the opportunities in contemporary music or new music. And new music, I mean, it's funny because new music is a term that we use in the contemporary classical world.
Right.
But what do you mean by new music?
Yeah.
Like
from a year,
it
what kind of years are we talking about when you talk about new? How old do you consider new?
To me, I consider new, you know, if the person's alive and fairly recently, maybe within the last 10 to 20 years, wrote it, that could be new. So, but I really feel stronger about new being like new.
Right.
This past year too.
Yeah. And I completely agree with you. And to take it to a little bit further, another step,
right.
You know, when we look at orchestras that operate within the U.S., what sells for them? Like what do people come see? If I put on a show, if I get an orchestra together and I say contemporary composers,
that doesn't really sell.
Right. And if I get something together and I say we're doing Beethoven this week, and
Beethoven sells,
and here, that
guy's a hit.
Yeah,
people love that Beethoven.
Well, even if you go back, I mean, you couldn't even do Stravinsky. As many people aren't going to show up for Stravinsky. You know? I mean, it's all about that marquee composer.
This is another reason I started this orchestra, because I haven't been successful in getting an orchestra to play my music.
Right.
And you know, we just have to create our own opportunities. You know, we have to create our own reality and take our opportunities by the horns.
Well, and I kind of think in a way, this is such a perfect example of you doing just that.
Right.
This was one of those things of taking an opportunity and still making it happen.
Right.
You know, during the middle of a pandemic, I think shows, you know, just your tenacity of what it needs to make it happen. And also, it's probably a little different and better in getting the word out at this level because of it. Because I think at first, you know, I know there's been times or two where we've discussed through the years and talking about things similar to this, and it always was like finding the right venue.
Right.
And kind of in a way, because of no venue, you've done this great thing that involves film and dance and the recording, and you know, it's so much bigger than just like a live stream. Like this really is an experience.
It's an actual product.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I couldn't have gotten funding for a product. I only was getting funding for a concert experience, for 2 concerts. We were going to do 2 concerts, and that was going to be it. You know, I was like, man, if we just invest a little more time and money, we could have some solid products.
Yeah.
And people, man, that is the most valuable asset to an artist, you know, because otherwise we're going to be flailing around trying to scrape by, trying to get opportunities all the time. And I don't plan on stopping trying to get opportunities, but you know, it's really hard to level up unless you have something marketable, a product of some sort. And And the product doesn't stop there. I mean, people can buy the sheet music, people can buy the album that's going to come out with it. People can, I mean, it's going to be a huge piece of product for everybody involved in this thing, which is amazing. And I couldn't have gotten the funding for that, though.
Right.
You know, the Arts and Science Council are amazing, but every granting organization does not fund production.
Right.
You know, which is a shame, but, you know, and I hope hopefully this might show them that, like, production is really important.
I don't think it would be physically possible to go to a show where you see an orchestra of this size.
Right.
That is conducted and then performed with the artist, while there also is a massive dance element to it. There's also someone going to be dancing.
Yeah. So I think we're I'm confused all of a sudden. So there was a dance element involved with this too.
Yes. I'm like thinking about like how to make this a visually stunning experience. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do just a regular live stream. I think we've seen plenty of those.
Right.
People are doing those.
Right.
One of my least favorite things is just to watch people sitting and playing. I'm sorry. Sometimes it's really good. Yeah. But, you know, I just want to be there live, really.
Depends on the venue, depends on the music.
You're right.
Yeah.
And it depends on a lot. But I was watching 90s rock music videos with my friend, and apparently I missed that growing up. I never was exposed to like MTV, and I missed 90s rock music videos.
Oh my God, they're great.
They are great. And I realized, I was like, dang, dance is a huge element in this.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Because I was all pumped up about this being like a really strong like representation of the music community. I'm like, you know, dance has been hit just as much as music this past year. And I told the director of dance, I was like, look, just as much as diversity is in the music, needs to be diversity in the dance. Like, really stretch yourself, push yourself. So she did scouting as well, but in the dance.
And who was that?
Arlen Zachary.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've worked together on music and dance collaborations before, and she's just like me, but in the dance world.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and we work together great. She's an amazing collaborator and an amazing organizer, and you know.
So did you provide her with like demos for to get the choreography together, or? Yeah,
I would send her the artists, and sometimes the composer, or sometimes, I mean, it depends. Sometimes we would match them with who we thought would be great, and make sure, obviously, we made sure with everybody that they were excited about working on whatever they're going to work on. And everybody loves who they ended up picking all around. Like, you know?
Well, like, I know for me, like, the experience was, hey, here's Megan, and she does fantastic choreography.
Right. Yeah, I think she either got matched with you or picked you or something.
Okay. You know, and we just kind of had a couple quick conversations as far as, you know, she asked, you know, is there a direction that you want this to go? Right. Is there, you know, any circumstances with this? And for me, coming into this entire project, I wanted to let everyone have free reign. Right. 110%. I wanted anyone to take whatever they felt, saw, if there was something in this song that they liked, take it and run with it. You know, she was great with it, and you know, we discussed the song a little bit. Same with Fred. It was kind of, I discussed the song with him a little bit. You know, me and him had a little more in-depth conversations. You know, and then him take that and translate that to an 18-piece orchestra, which he did over Zoom. Yeah. To then, and who was the conductor?
He was supposed to conduct it, but he couldn't. We had some COVID testing issue things. So
yeah, and I was really proud of how strict you guys were for the COVID testing.
I know.
I was really proud of y'all for being very good about that. But it was, I do say this was the most COVID intense. Yeah. Conscious project I've been a part of.
Well, because there's so many people, you know, we had crew, we had an 18-piece orchestra, we had a lot going on, and
it was like a movie set.
It was, and I did not want a single person to be, you know, we did as much as we could have, and
it wasn't. We were all distanced for the whole time until the performance, and it was you know, it was really. It was really cool to see that, but it also was a little trippy, just like how, even with COVID, like how well this was coordinated. Right. because I walked in and was done in an hour and a half, maybe, just from me walking in the door.
Yeah.
And it was kind of ridiculous to think like this just happened with like the amount of collaboration that took like 40 people to just knock this thing out the way that we did.
Right.
You know, zero practice. I have no idea what this is going to sound like. The conductor now doesn't know what this piece is going to sound like.
Yeah, and Fred did have to tell him, like, oh no, this over Zoom.
Over Zoom,
I had him on the camera watching the orchestra and listening. And
right. Pull my phone out and play the demo. you know, it's just like...
Right, and that was helpful. That really gave a lot for them to work with, too. And then he was like, oh, we need 2 people to improvise. These things actually get repeated 6 times. And I'm like... You should put that in there, but no, but it was
and
great.
It was like,
he was
who can improvise? Matt Postle, you good? Here, we'll give Matt a solo.
Well, I know every musician. I know what they're capable of, you know, and so I'm just like, he's badass, you know, he's great.
Oh, and they killed it.
They did.
Yeah,
they were amazing.
Yeah, when you pulled it off so well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
For like as many people too. Like it wasn't just my experience. I know everyone else that I was there, that I talked to, or that I had a chance to interact with, felt the exact same way I did. You know, so cool. it was super cool.
Oh, that's so amazing to hear.
With this being your neighborhood orchestra, I know that you're also. This is where it gets tough for me sometimes to talk to you because you're juggling 80,000 things, and I never know which one is which because you're doing so many good collaborative projects around. Right. So like Charlotte New Music is an organization that you've run for a while that does focus on music of all forms in Charlotte.
Well, promotes the creation, the access, the education, and opportunities in contemporary classical music because it just doesn't exist here. And when I graduated, when I was coming back from school, you know, during the summers from my master's program in composition, and I would come here and people would ask, what do you do? And I'm like, a composer. And they were like, those are still alive.
There was at least 60% of the time that people were in the head were thinking, that's still alive?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
totally.
Yeah.
And so, and it was, I mean, obvious. I thought about leaving and going to LA or New York, and just depends on what the scene that you wanted to get involved was, you know, about. But I'm like, you know, this city is not that small. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not. Like, there's like the second biggest banking capital here. So there's no reason why we can't develop a scene. I knew it was going to take 20 years, and I was fine with that. I'm at year 10 now, and it's every year is exactly where I thought it would be. So that's a good sign that.
Wow. So to you in your mind, you've had this game plan.
Yeah. A 20-year game plan.
You got a 20-year stop
to create the scene, and it's you know it's starting.
I'd say at year 10 you're doing pretty good.
Yeah. So I just want to create more opportunities for us to live and work, composers to live and work here, and all of that is what you know is in this contemporary classical world, and it just depends on where you land, what you're going to experience, and it's I like to call it an adventure. You know, experience. And I love adventure. Like that's what I live for almost.
Well, this is a way to experience something that
it is.
Yeah.
And so when people come to these concerts, like most of the time, I mean, we're basically ambassadors. We're basically like new music evangelists because it doesn't exist here, you know? So I know it's funny because I joke, I literally sell the hardest genre of music to sell. But we do a good job of it because it's 100% quality, good quality. People spend time on it. They put effort into the presentation of it. And when you do that, I mean, you know, if your heart's in it, man, like you're gonna do go right.
Right.
You know?
Well, and it's kind of interesting now because we're in such an experience-based style thing, you know, where I think people are kind of getting digitally drained at times. And it's, you know, with classical contemporary, it's such an experience. It's always such a physical experience that to really be there. It's one of those things where you can explain it, you can talk about it, but until you show up to an event, until you see it.
You really just got to experience it and be ready for an adventure. And it's not going to be, when I say adventure, I don't mean like...
Well, and I think the wonderful thing to know is like, you don't have to come in knowing anything about classical music.
Right.
You know, if Beethoven is the only thing that you can even associate with classical music, that's fine.
Right.
You know, you could
Right.
still these experiences and the way that you're doing them is set up in such a fun, unique way. You know, and this
Right.
and like I said, this your Neighborhood Orchestra project is a perfect example of
Right.
it. You know, because I mean, I loved it, and I cannot
Good.
wait to see. So when are these? These are coming out. You're live streaming these
Right.
weekly, correct?
Every other week.
Every other week,
Starting
okay.
next Sunday, April 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Okay, so April 18th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time is
Yeah.
going to be the first.
So they're every other Sunday. There's 5 of them total.
Okay,
And
where do we find them?
you can go to yourneighborhoodorchestra.com and you can click where you want to watch on there.
Okay, sweet. And we'll post all that stuff. I
Yeah.
just wanted to. So just yourneighborhoodorchestra.com.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Do you know who the lineup is for the first one off the top of your head?
Yeah. So those are my 2 arrangements, which
Okay.
I'm kind of nervous that my 2 are on the first one, but whatever. That's just, I didn't even pick the lineups orders. Somebody else did. And they actually put it in like some random generator for it. And
And then there you go.
And hey, there you are.
And so, but it's Sianka and then JC Clark from A Light Divided. She's pop metal.
I saw hers. That was
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Hers was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and the dancing aspect for those 2 are really unique. One is the one on Sianka, it's a duo, and they are Fire and Lyra Ariel. And then the one on JC Clark, the pop metal one, is a mermaid.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
it's going to be fun. As JC said, my 6-year-old self is so excited right now. Like,
Right.
Because, you know, Little Mermaid was like my favorite thing growing up. I probably watched that thing like 70 times maybe.
Oh, it's cool.
But
We played Under the Sea in marching band.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that song.
So when this project is in an area where we're looking a little bit more towards the future. We don't still know when live performance
Right.
of like this could be possible, but we know we're turning a corner.
Right.
You know, do you have any plans for your Neighborhood Orchestra?
Yeah.
Kinda
we're-
down the road, or-
I'm hoping to get us some live engagements.
Very
so
cool.
if anybody wants us, let me know. And then, but in the meantime, I don't sit around and wait. So we're gonna definitely put on a performance around September.
Oh, great.
Probably in a community center or a park or something.
Sweet. Very cool.
Yeah.
And plus, too, you know, you haven't been able to gig, so this is a great way to. So you said earlier that like part of the reason for flute was just because you could travel easy.
Yeah, it's so portable.
Yeah.
And it's also rare.
Yeah.
So
So it's easy to be a flute player.
easy
and
to
just-
fit in. It's easy to take it. It's easy. Everything around it is just amazing.
I was just curious
Oh,
who all you may travel or where all you've gone to
So
travel.
about
play.
5 years ago or so, a little more than 5 years ago, I took a 4-month trip motorcycling down the west coast of South America through Colombia, a month in each place: Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Chile.
Oh wow.
And I had a flute with me on that trip, and my laptop because I was still teaching online courses, and
So you're just fluting all around South America?
yeah,
Fluting-
I actually ended
fluting
up
all
Just,
around.
just fluting.
Yeah, I ended up on an album, and that song
Sweet.
ended up on like some rom-com, Colombian rom-com movie. And,
Nice.
but that was a crazy story because, I mean, it was a mess getting to that hostel basically. And rain, thunderstorm, lightning, everything, and got separated from my friends. My phone was dead. I was like trying to find this place in another city in the mountains of Colombia, and I was just like, I mean, I did cry. I cried that night.
I think it's understandable. I'm about to cry just listening to the story.
And so anyway, I finally make it to the toll, make the left up another mountain, and finally see this sign eventually that said the name of the thing I think I remembered it being. But it was like this off-road trail through a field, and I'm like, I guess I got to go down that.
in Colombia, in
like
a rainstorm
10
at 10 p.m.
And so
This
I
isn't
did.
how horror movies start. No.
And so I did it, and there was a couple hostels actually kilometer in, and they were like, oh no, the one you're looking for is another kilometer. And I'm like, all right, well, here we go again. So some more
Right.
off-roading. in the middle of the night, and I get there, and the place was owned by this like I think it was like called Elmo Combo or something, but it was owned by a motorcyclist and musician, and he owned a restaurant in town that he hosted musicians above that were basically the house band a few nights a week.
Oh, cool.
And so he said, like, oh yeah, they're gonna play tomorrow, so go play with them. And like, so I did, and we gelled. We jammed for like 4 hours. People stayed there, listened, like having a great time.
Nice.
And they were like, hey, we're gonna record in Cali, Colombia tomorrow. Like, why don't you come with us? And I'm like, I was going there anyway. Let's go.
So the death hostel situation turned into being.
It was amazing. It was so amazing.
That's awesome.
You just gotta persist.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
so
safely. It probably wasn't a good series of decisions. But
turned out all right.
In hindsight, I'm still alive.
You're right, exactly. You made it back.
yeah, I did. So, but I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah.
And
and now you got a flute part in Colombian Rom-Com.
Yeah. But just examples like that is, how much I love adventure and just, jumping into things.
Yeah. What's the first trip that you're going to do as soon as like regulations and stuff that you're going to allow yourself to do? Like what's something that you want to do?
Well, I definitely want to go to Colorado, maybe in a couple months.
Okay.
But other than that, I've never been, so I need to go. It just looks amazing. The scenery. I just hear nonstop amazing stuff about that place.
Oh yeah.
And
Colorado's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
and
absolutely.
the flights aren't that bad.
No, they're not
from
bad
Charlotte,
at all. Yeah.
So definitely want to go there.
I've been before. It's when I was younger.
Especially if you buy tickets like soon,
right?
Because people still aren't buying a lot of tickets,
Right.
so the cost is.
See, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, I got a great. I'm going to Seattle in September and got a great rate, like great.
Really?
Direct.
Wow.
Direct?
Direct.
Nice.
All right. I think we need to wrap up this episode because now we're going to start looking at flights.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know this, so I'm going to go ahead and start planning out
We're
some
gonna
stuff.
book some stuff.
Where are we going?
Where we go?
We're gonna go. Where should we go?
Well, wherever we go, we figure out what the name of the fucking hostel is first.
Make sure we got a battery backup.
That
for our
Make sure we
phone.
got a battery backup for our phone.
I did. All of that stuff died. And whatever.
Like I said, I really appreciate you
Thank you,
doing that
thank
whole
you.
thing. And thanks for coming by. I can't wait to see him.
Thank you so
cool.
much. I appreciate it, and
Thank
hope
you.
you all enjoy it. YourNeighborhoodOrchestra.com.
YourNeighborhoodOrchestra.com. That was great.
That was awesome, man.
It was wonderful to talk to her.
Absolutely.
And literally the 8 million things that she does project-wise.
I got
and stuff.
lost so many times.
I know.
There's just so much. I mean, I couldn't imagine having that many different projects on my plate.
Right. To fully understand what it is that she does on the level that she does it, go to charlottenewmusic.org and follow them. Check out all the stuff Your Neighborhood Orchestra's doing. Check out when the live streams are. It's going to be super easy to find them. I think she said the first one was April 18th.
April 18th, and then every other Sunday.
Every other Sunday. So April 18th is going to be a cool one. And by the time this comes out, that may have already happened. But May 2nd, I'm going to be on it. What? Very exciting. So make sure to check them all out, though. Check out this show and share it and do all this stuff. Well, we're already at the end of that.
We're already at the end.
So you've already
Hopefully
heard it.
you've already hit that like. You've already hit that subscribe. You've already told your grandma and your friends about it.
Yeah.
Anybody who has anywhere that they can stream anything and listen to us.
Yeah, you've already done that, right? Right?
Right, probably.
Thank you. We really appreciate it, everybody. And we've got some cool new things coming up. So stick around. Make sure to follow Jay and I on the gram and all that kind of stuff. We're actually going to get some live events that we got coming up.
Insta.
Going to be super cool. So, yeah. Get us on the Insta. Get me on Insta. All right. We're going to stop now.
I'm not going to hit you on anything, Todd.
Stepped over the head. Let's go get some food. You ready?
Hey, man, let's do lunch.
Let's get out of here. All right.
Later.
See you later.